AI prompt writing. Presented by AI Audiobook. If you've ever felt like AI tools give you generic or unhelpful results, it's not the AI, it's the prompt. This audiobook will teach you how to write prompts that unlock better, faster, and more creative responses from any AI tool you use. Whether you're writing content for your business, planning social media, or generating scripts, you'll learn how to get results that actually save time and sound professional. If you're looking for a specific chapter, use the timestamps in the description. Otherwise, stay tuned. What you'll learn here will change the way you work with AI. Introduction. The way we interact with technology is changing faster than ever before. Artificial intelligence has moved from the realm of science fiction into our daily workflows, reshaping how we create, communicate, and solve problems. But for all its potential, AI is only as powerful as the prompts we give it. A vague or poorly constructed input leads to generic, confusing, or completely unusable results. A clear, focused prompt, on the other hand, can unlock surprising accuracy, speed, and creativity. This book is your guide to mastering that difference. If you've ever asked an AI tool to help with writing, brainstorming, or research and received a response that felt off target, you're not alone. Many people expect these systems to just get it, to read between the lines or interpret unclear requests like a human would. But AI doesn't work that way. It follows the logic of your words. It looks for structure. It responds to detail. Writing good prompts is not about hoping for the best. It's about learning to communicate with intention and clarity. It's about giving AI exactly what it needs to do its job well. Whether you're writing product descriptions, YouTube scripts, headlines, blog content, or brainstorming new ideas, your results will only ever be as good as your prompt. That's why prompt writing has become one of the most valuable skills for professionals today. In this book, you'll learn what makes a prompt effective and why certain inputs lead to better outputs. You'll gain a practical understanding of how AI reads your instructions, how it interprets tone and detail, and how even small changes in your wording can completely change the result. This book is written for professionals who want to make AI work for them, not just as a fun tool, but as a serious asset. If you're a content writer, copywriter, marketer, freelancer, or entrepreneur, you'll find strategies here that save you time, reduce guesswork, and improve your creative workflow. You'll learn how to assign roles in your prompts to get expert-level responses, how to tailor your inputs to different content goals, and how to test and refine prompts until you consistently get the results you need. You don't need to be technical to master this skill. You just need to understand how to speak the language of prompts, clearly, deliberately, and with purpose. Think of it as learning how to write instructions for a highly intelligent assistant who can do almost anything, but only if you tell it exactly what you want. The better your instructions, the better the outcome. In the chapters ahead, we'll walk through every part of prompt writing, from the fundamentals of what makes a good prompt to advanced strategies that push the creative limits of AI. You'll learn how to structure your requests, how to write for different use cases, and how to approach prompting with the mindset of a problem solver. By the end of this book, you'll be able to write prompts that are not only understood by AI, but respected by it, because they're clear, direct, and built for high performance. Artificial intelligence is not replacing creativity, it's amplifying it. And those who know how to prompt well will have a powerful edge in the years ahead. This isn't just a writing skill, it's a thinking skill, and it starts here. Chapter 1: What makes a good prompt? When people first start using AI tools, the most common mistake they make is assuming the AI will just know what they mean. They type in a short sentence, maybe even a vague question, and then wait for something impressive to appear. Sometimes they get lucky, but most of the time the response feels flat, generic, or not quite what they had in mind. The reason is simple. The quality of an AI's output depends almost entirely on the quality of your input. In other words, the prompt is everything. A good prompt is not about being clever, it's about being clear. It gives the AI enough information to understand exactly what you want, while still leaving room for it to generate results with relevance and creativity. A strong prompt tells the AI who to be, what to do, how to do it, and what to prioritize. It's not always about using more words. It's about using the right words. You're not writing to impress a human. You're writing to guide a system that responds to structure, clarity, and intent. At its core, a good prompt does three things. First, it sets the purpose. You're telling the AI what kind of task you want it to perform. Is it writing a product description? Is it summarizing a video? Is it generating title options, answering customer questions, or creating a blog introduction? AI doesn't assume your goals. It needs to be told what the task is. Second, a good prompt gives direction. That includes tone, length, format, and any specific points that should be emphasized. And third, it gives focus. It filters out unnecessary information and guides the AI to stay on track. When you combine purpose, direction, and focus, you start getting outputs that are much closer to what you actually need. Let's take a simple example. Imagine asking AI to write a paragraph about coffee. The result might be vague, bland, or too general to be useful. Now compare that to this prompt. Write a short, persuasive paragraph for a product page that describes our single-origin organic coffee beans to health-conscious customers using a friendly and informative tone. This second prompt gives a clear purpose. It's for a product page. It gives direction, persuasive tone, health-focused audience, and a friendly voice. It also gives focus. Single-origin organic coffee is the subject. Suddenly, the AI knows what to do and how to say it. The input isn't just a question. It's a well-structured instruction. This is the real power of a good prompt. It doesn't just generate content, it steers the AI in the right direction. A prompt is like a map. If it's incomplete or hard to follow, the AI gets lost. But when it's precise and intentional, the system can navigate confidently and deliver results that make sense. You start getting content that fits your brand, suits your audience, and matches the format you need, whether that's a blog, a caption, a headline, or an entire sales page. There's a well-known phrase in computing that says, garbage in, garbage out. With AI tools, that principle still applies. If your prompt is messy, confusing, or too open-ended, the output will reflect that. But the opposite is also true. Clarity in, clarity out. A thoughtful prompt becomes a multiplier of your creative power. It lets the AI act like an intelligent assistant that understands your needs and works efficiently to meet them. It's also important to understand that a good prompt doesn't have to be long. Some of the best prompts are 1 or 2 sentences. What matters is not how many words you use, but how specific and purposeful those words are. Think about what you're asking for. Who is the audience? What's the context? What's the tone you want? If you answer those questions inside your prompt, the AI can respond much more effectively. Prompt writing is not just a matter of practice. It's a way of thinking. You start seeing language differently. You learn to give instructions in a way that removes guesswork. You begin to notice which parts of your prompt are helping the output and which ones are causing confusion. And over time, your inputs become sharper, faster, and more reliable. Another common misunderstanding is the idea that AI can read between the lines or fill in the blanks like a human can. But AI doesn't think like a person. It follows patterns. It responds to the words you give it and the structure you place around those words. That's why vague prompts lead to vague results. The more specific your prompt becomes, the more likely the AI is to produce something that hits the mark. A good prompt is not a one-size-fits-all formula. It adapts depending on your goals. What works for writing a blog intro might not work for naming a product. What you write when scripting a video might be very different from what you need when creating a list of SEO keywords. But in every case, the same principle holds true. If you want better outputs, start with better prompts. So before we move on, here's the main idea to carry with you. Prompt writing is not about asking for content. It's about giving smart, focused instructions. You are the driver. The AI is the engine, and your prompt is the steering wheel. The clearer your direction, the smoother the ride. In the next chapter, we'll explore why prompts work the way they do by looking into the psychology behind them, how human thinking meets machine logic, and what that means for writing instructions AI can understand. But for now, remember this: your words are the tool. When you learn how to use them precisely, you begin to unlock the full creative power of AI. Chapter 2: The Psychology of Prompting. At first glance, writing a prompt may seem like a simple task. Just tell the AI what you want, and it will generate the content. But when you look closer, you realize that every prompt is shaped by the way we think. The way we form questions, organize thoughts, give instructions, or describe what we want. All of it comes from our human psychology. Understanding this is key because the way you think isn't the way AI thinks. When you learn how to bridge that gap, your prompts become much more effective. Humans rely on shared experience, body language, and subtle cues. We often speak in shorthand because we assume the other person understands the context. We say things like, make it sound fun, or you know what I mean, and most of the time, another human does know what you mean. But AI doesn't share your past, your mood, your tone of voice, or your intent unless you tell it directly. What feels obvious to you is often invisible to the system. That's why many prompts fail. They assume the AI understands what you didn't fully explain. Let's say you ask AI to write a caption for my new product. That prompt is incomplete. What kind of product is it? Who is the audience? Should the tone be funny, serious, formal, or playful? Should it be short and punchy or detailed and informative? Is the goal to educate, entertain, or sell? These are the kinds of mental cues we automatically process as humans, but AI doesn't fill in those blanks unless you explicitly say so. When your prompt leaves too much to interpretation, the AI's response will be hit or miss. Understanding the psychology behind prompting helps you avoid that. Instead of assuming the AI can guess, you begin to communicate like someone explaining a task to a stranger who's never met you before. Imagine you're giving instructions to someone who is fast, capable, and ready to help, but who has no background knowledge. That mental picture alone can dramatically change the way you write prompts. You'll naturally begin to explain what matters, define your goals, and highlight the tone or style you want. This shift is not just about wording, it's about mindset. Most people approach AI like they would a search engine. They throw in a few keywords and expect a relevant answer. But AI doesn't work like a search engine. It works more like a conversation partner who builds its response based on the intent and structure of your request. If your prompt is shaped like a headline, it will give you headline ideas. If your prompt is shaped like a story opening, it may continue the story. It mirrors your mental frame. That's why how you think while writing the prompt matters as much as what you type. Another important part of this psychology is understanding how to narrow your focus. The more specific your intent, the easier it is for AI to respond in a useful way. Vague prompts like write something inspiring leave too much open to interpretation. One person's idea of inspiring might be a motivational quote, another's might be a story of resilience, while someone else might expect a philosophical reflection. Without knowing your frame of reference, the AI can only guess. But if your prompt says, write a short, inspiring message for a LinkedIn post that encourages young professionals to embrace failure as part of success, now the system has clarity. The psychology is focused, and the AI can match your expectation more accurately. Let's consider another instance. If you're a marketer asking for a slogan, and you simply write, give me a good slogan for my brand, that tells the AI very little. But if you say, I run a fitness brand that targets busy professionals in their 30s who want to stay in shape without spending hours at the gym, write a motivating slogan that highlights simplicity and results, now you're giving the AI a lens. That lens is based on your customer, your product, your style, and your goal. The psychology behind the prompt is thoughtful and well-framed, so the output will feel closer to what you had in mind. AI responds best when it knows what role to play and what problem it's helping to solve. It doesn't just need information, it needs context. That's why, as a prompt writer, your job is to guide the AI into the right mindset before it even begins. Tell it who it's speaking to. Tell it what the purpose is. Tell it how the answer should sound. The more mental structure you provide, the more aligned the output becomes with your original intention. This chapter isn't just about learning to be precise. It's about learning to think like a translator, someone who takes your internal thoughts and expresses them in a way that a machine can clearly interpret. It's about slowing down enough to ask yourself, what am I really trying to say? And then turning that into a clear, purposeful instruction. This is where prompting shifts from a guessing game to a reliable creative skill. As you continue learning prompt writing, always remember this. AI is not guessing your intent. It's interpreting your words. And your words are shaped by how you think. When you write prompts with human psychology in mind, you begin to close the gap between your expectations and the system's response. You stop getting outputs that feel random and start getting results that feel like they truly belong to your voice, your goal, and your project. In the next chapter, we'll explore the structures that make prompts even more effective, the shapes and formats that AI understands best, and how to use them across different types of content. But now you understand why prompting is more than just a tool. It's a skill of clarity, of intention, and of thinking in a new way. And once you master that mindset, the results speak for themselves. Chapter 3: Prompt Structures That Work. Once you understand that AI responds best to clear, focused, and well-explained input, the next step is learning how to shape that input in a way the system can easily follow. This is where structure comes in. A prompt doesn't have to be complicated, but it does need to be organized. Structure gives your instruction a backbone. It tells the AI not just what to do, but how to do it. Without structure, even a good idea can become a vague request. But when your prompt is well structured, the AI knows exactly how to deliver what you want, step by step, with minimal confusion. Think of a prompt like a brief to a creative partner. If you simply say, write something interesting about productivity, you'll likely get a generic paragraph with no clear purpose. But if you say, write an engaging introduction for a blog post about productivity hacks for remote workers, using a conversational tone and including a relatable example, now your prompt has a strong internal structure. It gives the AI a specific task, a defined topic, a clear audience, a tone to follow, and even a suggestion to include an example. That's structure in action, and it completely changes the quality of the result. One of the simplest and most effective ways to structure a prompt is to follow this mental formula: task, context, tone, and style. These four elements act like building blocks. You can include them in any order, but when they're all present, your prompt becomes instantly stronger. The task tells the AI what kind of output you want: a headline, a paragraph, a script, a list, a response. The context explains what it's about or what problem it's solving. The tone sets the emotional mood or voice, such as formal, casual, friendly, bold, or professional. And the style shapes the format, whether it should be persuasive, informative, funny, poetic, short form, or detailed. Let's look at a quick comparison. A weak prompt might be, write some ideas for a YouTube video. That's too open. But if you say, give me 5 video title ideas for a YouTube channel that teaches beginner-level graphic design using a fun and inspiring tone to attract young creatives, suddenly you've included all 4 elements. The AI knows the task is title generation. The context is graphic design for beginners. The tone is fun and inspiring. And the style is short, catchy YouTube titles. With that structure, the AI is far more likely to give you high-quality ideas that match your goals. You can apply structure across almost any type of task: social media captions, product descriptions, ad copy, blog intros, or even customer service replies. The better you get at mentally identifying what each prompt needs, the easier it becomes to build that structure naturally. It might feel slow at first, but over time it becomes automatic. You begin thinking in formats, not just ideas. And when your prompt has a strong format, your results come out cleaner, faster, and more usable with less editing. There are times when you may want to break your prompt into multiple parts. That's especially useful for complex tasks. For example, instead of writing one long prompt like create a brand story for a new app, you can split it into a more structured form. Act as a professional brand strategist. Create a short origin story for a new productivity app designed for busy college students. Use an inspiring tone and make it sound authentic, not exaggerated. In this version, you've added layers of structure: role, task, context, tone, and even a guardrail about exaggeration. This helps AI hit the target more precisely. Another useful structural technique is to give examples. Sometimes the fastest way to guide AI is to show it what kind of result you're looking for. For instance, if you're asking for product descriptions, you could include a sample format like, Here's an example of the style I want. Crisp sound, seamless comfort. These wireless earbuds blend sleek design with long-lasting performance. Now write something similar for a portable Bluetooth speaker. By adding an example, you provide both structure and tone, which gives the AI a clearer starting point. Structure doesn't make your prompts robotic. In fact, it makes them more human. Why? Because you're not leaving anything to chance. You're thinking ahead, giving direction, and removing ambiguity, just like you would when briefing a skilled teammate. The result feels more intentional, and the creative process becomes much smoother. Structure also saves time. You spend less effort rewording your prompt and more time using the results. One of the best habits you can build as a prompt writer is to read your prompt out loud before submitting it. Ask yourself, if someone else read this, would they know exactly what I want? If the answer is no, revise it until the instruction feels complete. That single step will help you catch missing elements and improve the flow of your request. Even if you're writing prompts for yourself, clarity still matters. The more complete your prompt, the better the AI can follow it the first time. As you get more comfortable with prompt writing, you'll start developing your own structures. You'll find patterns that work for your workflow and templates that match the kind of content you create most often. But even then, the core principle stays the same. Strong prompts have structure. They are not random, rushed, or vague. They are clear, complete, and built with purpose. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to tailor your prompts for different goals, whether you want to inform, entertain, sell, teach, or engage. But for now, remember this. Structure is what turns an idea into an instruction. And when your instruction is solid, the output becomes far more powerful than anything you'd get from a generic request. Chapter 4. Prompting for different goals. Every prompt you write has a purpose, whether you realize it or not. That purpose might be to explain something clearly, to sell a product, to capture attention, to spark emotion, or to educate the reader. The more clearly you define your goal before writing the prompt, the more precise and useful the result will be. AI tools are powerful, but they're not mind readers. They follow the path you lay out, and that path begins with your intention. Writing a prompt without a clear goal is like walking into a room and saying, "Do something interesting." There's no direction, but when you know what outcome you're trying to achieve, you start shaping your prompts like a professional. You begin thinking, am I trying to inform someone? Am I trying to convert a reader into a customer? Am I trying to inspire action or explain a process? Once you answer that question, your prompt naturally becomes more focused and your output becomes far more valuable. Let's take a common example, writing content for a landing page. If your goal is to educate the visitor, your prompt might sound like, explain how our time-tracking software helps remote teams stay organized, using a clear and informative tone suitable for first-time users. But if your goal is to convert the visitor into a paying customer, the prompt changes. Write persuasive landing page copy that highlights the top 3 benefits of our time-tracking software, focusing on ease of use and productivity gains, using a confident and motivating tone. Same product, but 2 different goals, and that difference shapes everything the AI delivers, from tone to structure to word choice. Even with shorter content like social media captions, the goal matters. Suppose you're promoting a clothing brand. A prompt that says, write an Instagram caption for our new denim jacket, is missing context. But now ask yourself, what is the goal? If the goal is to drive engagement, your prompt might be, write a fun and casual Instagram caption for our new denim jacket that includes a question to spark comments from young fashion followers. But if the goal is to boost sales, it becomes, write a short, stylish Instagram caption for our new denim jacket that highlights its comfort and quality and includes a limited-time offer to create urgency. Both are about the same product, but each prompt is built for a different outcome. When you get intentional about your goal, you help the AI prioritize the right tone, format, and style. If your goal is to entertain, the AI will lean toward creativity, playfulness, and rhythm. If your goal is to inform, it will lean toward clarity, accuracy, and structure. If your goal is to persuade, it will focus on benefits, emotional triggers, and strong calls to action. The more you guide the system toward the result you want, the more the content will reflect your intent. There are also times when you'll have multiple goals in one prompt, and that's okay, but you have to define them clearly. For instance, you might want to inform and persuade at the same time. A prompt like, write a short paragraph that explains how our air purifier removes allergens and also encourages families with young children to purchase it, tells the AI to blend educational content with persuasive messaging. Without that instruction, it may lean too far in one direction and miss the balance you were aiming for. Another factor to consider is the platform. Goals often change depending on where your content will appear. A prompt written for a LinkedIn post may focus on authority and value, while a prompt written for TikTok might emphasize humor or trendiness. The same message may be adapted differently depending on whether the goal is to build trust, create connection, or drive clicks. That's why including the platform in your prompt is often just as important as stating the goal itself. Let's take one more example. Suppose you're creating a YouTube video. If the goal is to teach something, your prompt might be, write a clear and beginner-friendly YouTube script that explains how to use a budgeting app with simple examples and a helpful tone. If the goal is to entertain while educating, you could say, write an engaging YouTube script that teaches basic budgeting tips using humor and relatable everyday scenarios to keep the viewer hooked. In both cases, the content is educational, but the second version adds an entertainment goal that will change how the AI frames the story, language, and pacing. When prompting for different goals, always take a moment to picture the end result. Ask yourself, what do I want the audience to feel, know, or do after reading this? That single question can sharpen your thinking and help you create prompts that lead to high-impact content. You'll spend less time fixing vague outputs and more time applying results that already feel on point. AI tools are flexible, but they don't make decisions for you. That's your role. You provide the direction, the motivation, and the clarity. The system simply follows the shape of your thinking. When your goal is crystal clear, the AI can support it with surprising precision. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into how assigning roles within your prompts can dramatically improve the quality of your results, allowing the AI to respond with more authority, creativity, or insight, depending on the persona you give it. But before we get there, remember this. Every piece of content has a purpose. The clearer you are about that purpose when you write your prompt, the better the AI will deliver what you truly need. Chapter 5. The Power of Role Assignment. One of the simplest but most powerful ways to improve your prompts is by assigning a role to the AI before giving it a task. This single technique can instantly change the tone, depth, and authority of the response. When you tell the AI who it should act as, you shape not only what it says, but how it says it. Whether you want the voice of a professional writer, a friendly advisor, a marketing expert, or a stand-up comedian, assigning a clear role helps the AI speak in that voice, because now it knows who it's supposed to be. Most people skip this step. They write prompts like, write a blog about time management, or explain this product, without giving any sense of who is doing the talking. As a result, the AI replies in a neutral, generic tone that lacks personality or perspective. But if your prompt begins with, act as a productivity coach with 10 years of experience, the tone immediately shifts. The AI now answers with confidence and clarity, drawing from a more focused mental model. The difference is not just in the content, it's in the presence. The response feels more alive, more believable, and more relevant to your audience. Role assignment works because AI is trained on a wide range of voices and styles. It understands how a journalist sounds compared to a novelist. It knows the difference between how a teacher explains something and how a social media manager might pitch the same idea. When you assign a role, you're giving the system a filter. You're saying, speak like this person, not just anyone. And because AI is designed to mirror what you describe, it follows that instruction with surprising accuracy. Let's look at a basic example. Imagine you want help writing a product description for a skincare brand. If you simply say, describe this moisturizer, you'll get something serviceable but flat. Now try this instead. Act as a high-end beauty copywriter. Write a short, elegant product description for a moisturizing cream designed for sensitive skin. Use a refined and soothing tone that appeals to wellness-focused customers. Suddenly, the voice becomes tailored. The language becomes more selective. Tone carries emotion and sophistication. That's the power of role assignment. You can use this technique across almost any type of content. Suppose you're creating educational material for a video. A generic prompt like, "Explain how to build a budget," will produce basic content. But if your prompt says, "Act as a financial educator speaking to high school students," "Explain how to build a simple budget using everyday examples and a friendly, encouraging tone," the result feels far more human, more targeted, and more effective. The AI isn't just listing steps, it's teaching with purpose. Role assignment also helps guide complex writing tasks that require nuance or a specific perspective. For instance, if you're drafting a professional email to a client, you might write, "Act as a senior account manager writing to a long-term client." Craft a warm and respectful follow-up email, checking on their satisfaction with a recent service. The result is likely to be more appropriate in tone and structure than if you had skipped the role and simply asked for a follow-up message. You can even use roles to inject creativity into the prompt. If you're writing for entertainment or engagement, you might say, "Act as a stand-up comedian. Write a funny tweet about daily work-from-home life." Or act as a science fiction author. Describe an AI assistant that refuses to take orders from humans. These types of roles allow the AI to lean into styles that are playful, dramatic, or surprising, all depending on what you need in that moment. Assigning a role also creates a mental frame for you as the writer. It forces you to be specific. Who is speaking? Who are they speaking to? What tone would they use? What details would they prioritize? This mindset makes your prompts sharper and your thinking more strategic. And it's this strategy that separates average users from skilled prompt writers. You can even combine role assignment with other techniques you've already learned. For example, you might write, "Act as a social media strategist. Create 3 Instagram captions to promote our eco-friendly travel backpacks to adventure-loving millennials." Use a bold, upbeat tone and include a strong call to action. This kind of prompt blends task, context, tone, and goal, all guided by the role of the strategist. The AI now has a full blueprint to follow. Another benefit of assigning roles is consistency. If you're working on a series of posts, emails, or scripts, assigning the same role each time helps maintain a uniform voice across multiple pieces. The AI knows to stay within the voice of a certain persona rather than shifting tone with every new prompt. This makes your content feel more cohesive, even when written in parts or at different times. It's also worth noting that you can create your own roles. You don't have to stick with standard professions. You can be as specific as you want. For instance, act as a cheerful barista explaining how to make the perfect latte at home, or act as a minimalist home organizer giving advice to overwhelmed parents. The more detail you give the role, the better the AI understands the voice it should adopt. As you practice, you'll start to build a library of roles that work well for different tasks. Over time, you'll discover which ones produce the best tone, the most useful structure, and the most natural responses. You'll begin to think in characters, not just commands. And that shift will dramatically improve the way your content sounds, because it will feel like it came from someone real. In the next chapter, we'll look at another key ingredient in great prompt writing: how to give clear instructions. You'll learn how to avoid confusion, cut down on editing, and get better results the first time around. But for now, remember this: every piece of content has a voice behind it. And when you tell the AI who it's supposed to be, you unlock that voice with clarity and control. That's the power of role assignment, and it changes everything. Chapter 6: Giving Clear Instructions. Clarity is what separates good prompts from great ones. Even if you know your goal and assign a role, you won't get quality results unless your instructions are clear. Vague requests lead to vague responses. But when your instructions are specific, structured, and purposeful, the AI becomes more accurate, more creative, and far more useful. You spend less time rewriting the output and more time applying it to your real work. Clear instruction begins with knowing what you want. That might sound obvious, but it's the part many people skip. They write a general prompt like, "Make this sound better," or "Write something for my product." But what does better mean? Better for whom? Better how? And something for a product could be a headline, a description, a pitch, or a script. Without specifics, the AI is left to guess, and when the AI guesses, it usually defaults to something average. Instead, think like a director giving cues to a talented actor. The actor may be skilled, but if you give a weak direction like, "Just act natural," you won't get a strong performance. But if you say, "Deliver this line calmly, like someone who knows they're right but doesn't need to prove it," the result is much more controlled and expressive. AI works the same way. It needs clear direction, not just what to say, but how to say it and why. Let's look at a basic example. Suppose you're launching a new app. A prompt like, "Write something about our productivity app," leaves too many gaps. But if you write a short, upbeat paragraph introducing our productivity app to freelancers. Highlight the app's ability to organize tasks and track time, and keep the tone energetic and modern. Now the AI has a blueprint. It knows who the message is for, what points to include, what tone to use, and how long the content should be. That level of instruction leads to output that's closer to what you imagined the first time. One of the best ways to give clear instructions is to name exactly what you want the AI to include or avoid. If there's a key benefit, mention it. If there's a specific word count or format, state it. If you don't want cliches or buzzwords, say so. Many people assume that AI should just know what good writing looks like. But AI doesn't write for taste, it writes for instruction. When you give it strong guardrails, you raise the quality of the result. Even small phrases can make a big difference. Adding words like user-friendly tone or make it sound expert level instantly gives the system a better sense of direction. You can also use contrast to guide the AI. For example, if you say, "Make this message sound less robotic and more conversational, like a real person giving advice," you've now defined both what you don't want and what you do. That comparison helps narrow the AI's choices and deliver a more refined response. Another helpful technique is breaking down your instruction into steps or layers. If the task is complex, like writing a full email sequence, scripting a video, or drafting a product launch, you can split it up. Start by asking for the outline. Then ask for each section one at a time. Clear instructions don't always mean more words. They mean more precision. You can give instructions in a single sentence, or you can guide the AI through stages, depending on what makes your process smoother. Clarity also means reducing ambiguity. If your prompt includes phrases like "a little," "kind of," or "maybe," the AI won't know how far to go. For example, saying "make it a little persuasive" is unclear. Does that mean use emotional language? Add urgency? Include social proof? A better instruction would be, make it persuasive by focusing on the reader's pain points and showing how the product solves a specific problem. That gives the AI both the goal and the method. It's also helpful to think about how your instructions affect structure. If you want a list, say so. If you want 3 short bullet points, be specific. If you want a paragraph followed by a call to action, include that in the prompt. AI doesn't assume layout, it needs to be told. The more you shape the flow, the more predictable and usable the output becomes. One mistake to avoid is overloading your prompt with too many competing instructions. If you ask for something short but also highly detailed, the AI may struggle to prioritize. It's better to focus on one clear objective per request, or break a complex job into smaller prompts. Think of your prompt like a conversation. If you're not sure what you're asking, the AI won't be either. Giving clear instructions doesn't mean being rigid. You can still leave room for creativity and variation, but that freedom should be intentional. You might say, use a playful tone and feel free to add a clever twist at the end. Or, stick to the main points, but make the wording feel fresh and original. These are flexible instructions, but they still provide a framework. They give the AI permission to be creative without going off track. As you gain more experience, writing clear prompts will feel less like a formula and more like a habit. You'll start catching vague words and replacing them with sharper ones. You'll get better at predicting what the AI needs in order to perform well. And you'll spend less time fixing results and more time using them. In the next chapter, we'll build on everything you've learned by introducing prompt writing frameworks, reliable patterns you can follow to write faster, better, and more consistently across all kinds of content. But for now, remember this. Every strong result begins with a clear request, and clarity, more than cleverness, is what makes a prompt truly powerful. Chapter 7: Prompt Writing Frameworks. At this point, you've learned how clarity, structure, and intent shape every good prompt. But once you start writing prompts regularly, for marketing, scripting, product content, or social media, it becomes clear that having a repeatable process makes everything faster and more consistent. That's where frameworks come in. A prompt writing framework is a pattern, a mental template that helps you organize your input quickly, without starting from scratch each time. It's not a rule book. It's a shortcut for quality. Frameworks work because most communication follows a rhythm. Whether you're writing an ad, a video script, a product description, or a helpful reply, you're usually trying to do one of a few things. Grab attention, share information, solve a problem, or move someone to act. You can express these in different tones and formats, but the underlying goal stays the same. A framework helps you match that goal with a structure that makes the prompt easier to write, and much easier for AI to follow. Let's begin with a simple but powerful one, the who, what, why, how framework. You can use this in almost any content prompt. First, define who the message is for. Second, state what you want the AI to create. Third, explain why the content matters or what its goal is. And finally, describe how it should sound or be delivered. Here's how it works in practice. Instead of saying, write a blog about digital detox, you could say, write a blog introduction for working professionals who feel overwhelmed by constant screen time. The goal is to hook their attention and lead into a post about digital detox strategies. Use a calm, relatable tone and keep it under 150 words. That single prompt includes all 4 parts, and it gives the AI a much clearer instruction. Another useful framework is role, goal, content, tone. This is especially effective when you want to assign the AI a specific persona. For example, act as a customer support agent. Write a polite and reassuring email reply to a customer who received a damaged product. Let them know a replacement is on the way and offer a discount on their next purchase. Use a warm, professional tone. By setting the role and the goal, then describing the content and the tone, you create a complete map. The AI isn't guessing, it's delivering. If you're writing for persuasion or sales, a classic framework is problem, agitate, solution, often used in marketing. First, present the problem your audience faces. Then emphasize why it matters. Finally, show how your product or service solves it. You can turn this into a prompt by saying, write a short Facebook ad targeting busy parents who feel exhausted by daily routines. Start by highlighting the problem of burnout, then build urgency, and end by showing how our app helps families stay organized with less stress. Use a motivating, conversational tone. Frameworks like this work well because they mirror natural human persuasion. They help the AI structure content in a way that resonates with the reader. For educational or informative content, you might prefer the hook, context, content, close structure. This works great for blog intros, video scripts, and tutorials. For example, act as an expert in digital marketing. Write the opening 60 seconds of a YouTube video that teaches small business owners how to use SEO. Start with a question or bold statement. Give context on why SEO matters, then begin teaching with one clear tip. End with a teaser for what's coming next. Keep the tone confident but beginner-friendly. This type of framework helps keep the flow natural and easy to follow for the viewer or reader. Using frameworks doesn't mean your prompts will sound formulaic. In fact, it's the opposite. By giving the AI a clean, structured instruction, you free it to be more creative within the right boundaries. Instead of wandering, the content stays aligned with your goal and often surprises you with how naturally it fits the task. Once you get comfortable with a few of these frameworks, you'll notice how they overlap. You'll start blending parts of them naturally depending on the situation. You might use role, goal, tone for short tasks like social captions, but shift to problem, agitate, solution when writing a sales email. You might follow who, what, why, how when asking for newsletter ideas, but use hook, content, close when scripting a podcast intro. The more familiar you are with these mental patterns, the easier it is to adapt your prompt to fit the situation. Another advantage of frameworks is that they improve consistency across your brand or content projects. When your prompts follow similar structures, your outputs feel more uniform, even when the content itself changes. This is especially valuable when working in teams or with multiple projects. You can share your favorite prompt structures with others and get aligned results without having to reinvent the wheel every time. Eventually, you'll start building your own custom frameworks. You'll notice what instructions work best for your voice, your audience, or your preferred formats. For example, if you write video scripts often, you might create a go-to prompt that says, "Act as a video script writer. Write a 2-minute YouTube script for audience about topic. Start with a hook, teach 3 quick tips, and close with a memorable takeaway. Use an energetic and inspiring tone." With this base structure, you only need to swap in the details, and your content creation becomes fast, reliable, and effective. In the next chapter, we'll look at how to improve a prompt, how to revise, expand, or refine what you wrote so that the AI gives you something even better on the second try. But for now, remember this. Writing prompts is not about starting from zero each time. Best writers use patterns. Frameworks give you a head start, reduce friction, and increase the quality of your results. And once you start thinking in these patterns, prompt writing becomes not just easier, but far more powerful. Chapter 8. How to improve a prompt. No matter how experienced you become, not every prompt will work perfectly on the first try. That's normal. Sometimes the output is too vague. Sometimes it's too long, too dry, too generic, or just off in tone. But what separates casual users from skilled prompt writers is the ability to fix that quickly. Learning how to improve a prompt is one of the most important skills you can develop. It turns trial and error into a process and transforms weak results into strong ones with just a few adjustments. Improving a prompt begins with understanding why the result didn't work. Was the task unclear? Was the tone too flat? Did the AI miss key points or repeat itself? Often these problems trace back to the input. The prompt may have left too much room for interpretation or used language that confused the AI's model. The goal is not to get frustrated with the tool, but to see the gap between what you expected and what you asked. Once you spot that gap, you can start closing it. Let's take a simple case. You ask the AI to write a caption for a new coffee product, but the result feels boring. Your first instinct might be to try again with the same prompt and hope for better luck. But a better approach is to adjust your instruction. Ask yourself, did I specify the tone? Did I describe the audience? Did I explain what makes the product unique? A revised version like, write a playful Instagram caption for our new cold brew coffee, targeting young urban professionals. Focus on its bold flavor and smooth finish, gives the AI more to work with. Now the system isn't guessing, it's following clearer instructions. Another common issue is length. If the output is too short or too long, the solution is simple. Include a word or format constraint in your prompt. You can say, write 2 sentences, or keep it under 100 words, or even format this as a short list with bullet points. The AI is built to follow structure, but only if you give it one. When the response feels too detailed or not detailed enough, be more precise about the depth you expect. For example, you can say, give me a high-level summary, or explain this in detail for a non-technical audience. That one sentence can shift the entire shape of the answer. If the tone is off, that's often because the prompt didn't include any guidance on emotion or voice. Many users forget that AI doesn't have emotional instincts. It responds to what you tell it. If you want something to sound inspiring, funny, serious, calming, or urgent, those words need to be in the prompt. And if the first result feels robotic or dull, try adding comparison. Make it sound less generic and more like a personal recommendation, or give it the tone of a helpful friend offering advice. These tweaks don't change the task, but they dramatically improve how it's delivered. You can also improve prompts by adding examples. If the result you got feels flat, show the AI what you're aiming for. A simple sample sentence or style guide within the prompt gives the system a reference point. Let's say the first draft of a tagline felt weak. You could revise the prompt like this. Write a product tagline for our noise-cancelling headphones. Use a sleek, high-end style like this example: silence redesigned. Keep it under 6 words. Now you've shaped the output in terms of tone, format, and brand positioning, all by adding one example. Another smart way to improve a prompt is to use feedback loops. If the AI gives you something that's almost right, you don't have to start over. You can talk to it like a collaborator. Say, make this shorter, or rewrite this in simpler language, or can you give me 3 stronger variations? Because the system remembers context during a session, it can revise and build on the output you've already received. This back-and-forth process makes the AI feel less like a tool and more like a creative partner that responds to coaching. Sometimes you'll notice that your prompt is trying to do too much at once. If that's the case, break it into parts. Instead of asking for a headline, a subheading, and a paragraph all in one instruction, try splitting it up. Get the headline first, refine it, and then move to the next piece. Clear prompts with single goals almost always perform better than multitask requests. Once each part is solid, you can combine them into a full piece of content. Another improvement strategy is reframing. If your original prompt asked for something in one format, but the result didn't land, try changing the way you ask. For example, instead of saying, write a blog post about time-saving tips, try create a helpful checklist of time-saving tips for busy parents, using warm and encouraging language. By shifting the format and framing it around the audience, the content becomes more practical and emotionally tuned. Improving a prompt is not just about fixing mistakes, it's about refining your thinking. As you get more comfortable, you'll start diagnosing issues faster. You'll recognize when a result is too general, and you'll know how to add the missing detail. You'll catch when a tone feels wrong, and you'll know how to rephrase your instruction. Over time, your first drafts will get better, your prompts will become sharper, and you'll build a mental checklist of what to include, based on the kind of content you need. In the next chapter, we'll go beneath the surface and explore how AI actually thinks, how it processes your words, patterns, and logic to deliver results. But before we get there, keep this in mind. Prompt writing is not about perfection on the first try. It's about clarity, testing, and refinement. Every weak result is just an invitation to sharpen your prompt. And once you master that skill, you'll unlock consistently strong outputs, one clear instruction at a time. Chapter 9: How AI Thinks. If you're using AI in your business to write product descriptions, create marketing content, plan your social media, or simply save time, you've probably wondered how this technology really works. You type a few sentences, and suddenly you have a blog post, a headline, a script, or a sales message. But what's actually happening in the background? And why does the result sometimes feel sharp and professional, while other times it completely misses the mark? To use AI well, you don't need to know everything about machine learning. But you do need to understand how AI thinks. Here's the simple truth. AI doesn't think like a human. It doesn't have opinions, emotions, or goals. It doesn't understand meaning the way you do. What it has is pattern recognition, at a massive scale. It looks at the words you write in your prompt, compares them to patterns it has learned from billions of examples across the internet, and then predicts what's most likely to come next. That's it. No magic, just probability, trained over time to sound like natural human language. So when you type a prompt, the AI isn't forming ideas or understanding your business strategy. It's calculating which sequence of words best fits your request based on how similar ideas were expressed in its training data. This is why clarity matters so much. The AI can only follow what you tell it. If your prompt is vague, you'll get vague results. If it's scattered, your results will be all over the place. But if your prompt is focused, structured, and specific to your business need, the AI delivers with surprising precision. Let's say you run an online store and ask the AI, write a description for my new product. That input is too loose. The system has to guess what your product is, who it's for, and how you want it to sound. But if you write a short, persuasive description for our new eco-friendly water bottle, target health-conscious millennials, focus on sustainability, and use a modern, upbeat tone, now the AI has a map. It's not inventing direction, it's following yours. The better your prompt, the better your outcome. This is especially important for anyone using AI in a professional context. If you're building a brand, managing a content calendar, writing emails to customers, or scripting videos, every word matters. An AI will only produce high-quality words if your input is strong. It doesn't know your goals unless you say them. It doesn't know your audience unless you describe them. It doesn't know your tone, length, or platform unless you include those details. This is where so many users go wrong. They expect the AI to make those decisions for them. But that's not how it works. Think of AI like a fast, capable assistant who's never met you before. It can work quickly, but only if you explain the task clearly. It won't guess what your business sells or how you like to talk to your customers. But if you say, act as a customer service rep, or write this as a high-end brand voice, or make this short and friendly for Instagram, it adapts immediately. Because underneath the surface, AI is always looking for patterns, and your words shape which patterns it pulls from. Another thing to know is that AI performs better with constraints. Humans often feel restricted by limitations, but AI actually thrives with them. If you ask it to keep the copy under 50 words, write in bullet points, or highlight only 2 features, it does exactly that. In fact, the more clearly you define the limits, the more efficient and useful the output becomes. For business tasks where time and clarity are everything, this can save you hours. But the opposite is also true. If you overcomplicate your prompt or pack in too many instructions at once, write an email, create 3 headlines, summarize this blog, add a joke, and include a testimonial, the AI may struggle to prioritize. You'll get something that sounds jumbled or off balance. When that happens, it's not that the tool failed, it's that the input lacked structure. Breaking complex prompts into smaller steps usually leads to stronger results. Another point many business users miss is that AI doesn't retain memory across separate sessions. If you told it your brand values yesterday, it won't remember them today unless you include that context again. There's no long-term awareness unless you're using tools specifically designed to store brand instructions. So each time you prompt, think of it as a fresh briefing. Be ready to restate key information if you want consistency. Your brand name, your audience, your preferred tone, your core message. These details make a real difference. One more thing. AI doesn't verify facts. It sounds confident, but it doesn't know whether a statistic is accurate or if a claim is up to date. So if you're prompting it to write something fact-based, like legal copy, financial advice, or medical content, you still need to fact-check manually. AI is a language engine, not a truth engine. It can produce content that sounds true, but sounding right and being right aren't always the same. Use it as a drafting partner, not a final editor. All of this brings us to a key mindset shift. When you use AI for your business, you're not just writing content, you're giving instructions to a system that thinks in probabilities. Your job is to guide those probabilities in your favor. The better you shape your prompt, the closer the response will match your goals. This isn't guesswork, it's a skill. And like any business skill, it improves with practice. In the next chapter, we'll explore advanced prompt strategies, techniques that go beyond the basics to unlock deeper creativity, sharper persuasion, and more control over your content. But for now, remember this. AI doesn't think for you, it thinks with you, and the clearer your direction, the smarter it becomes. Chapter 10. Advanced Prompt Strategies. By now, you've learned the fundamentals of great prompt writing. How to give AI a clear role, a specific task, a defined audience, and a structured tone. You've seen how important clarity is, how role assignment transforms voice, and how frameworks can make you faster and more consistent. But once you've mastered the basics, there's still more you can do. The most advanced prompt writers don't just give good instructions, they stretch what AI can do. They unlock the creative edge that makes the difference between useful content and extraordinary content. One advanced strategy is prompt chaining. This means breaking a large, complex task into a series of smaller prompts, with each one building on the last. Instead of asking the AI to write a full sales funnel email sequence in one go, you might start with, generate 5 angles for a campaign that promotes our new fitness app to busy professionals. Once you like the angle, your next prompt could be, Using angle number 3, write a lead magnet headline that gets attention without sounding like a sales pitch. After that, you might ask for an email introduction, then a follow-up, and so on. This step-by-step approach keeps the output focused and gives you more creative control. Another powerful technique is prompt recycling. If you've found a prompt that works well, maybe it consistently produces strong product descriptions or clever email subject lines, save it, reuse it. Slightly adjust the details for new products, new clients, or new campaigns. This turns one good idea into a repeatable tool. Over time, you'll develop your own personal prompt library, your best performers ready to go at a moment's notice. This is especially valuable in business, where time is short and content needs to be produced fast. A third technique is voice adaptation. As your business grows, your content often needs to shift tone depending on the platform, the audience, or the season. For example, your brand voice on Instagram might be light and playful, but your investor updates need to be professional and polished. Advanced prompt writers are able to fine-tune tone through subtle adjustments. You might write, "Explain this product as if you're a high-energy brand ambassador speaking to a Gen Z audience," or "Describe this same product in a calm, authoritative tone for a B2B audience." When you get specific about tone and audience, the AI adapts with precision. One strategy that many professionals overlook is scenario-based prompting. This means designing your prompt around a realistic business situation. For example, instead of saying, "Write a script about AI benefits," you could say, "You're a tech consultant pitching a mid-sized logistics company on why they should integrate AI tools into their operations." Write a 60-second elevator pitch they can understand without tech jargon. This type of prompt creates focus. It gives the AI a mission, not just a task, and the result is more persuasive, more grounded, and more relevant. You can also use AI to generate unexpected angles or creative ideas if you prompt it the right way. Instead of asking, "Give me 3 blog topics about productivity," try, "Give me 3 unexpected blog topics about productivity that haven't been covered by every other brand online." Make them sound fresh and clickable. When you push the AI to surprise you and give it permission to go beyond the obvious, you get ideas that stand out from the crowd. One of the most advanced strategies is using layered prompts to iterate. This means writing a prompt, getting a first result, and then immediately improving it by giving feedback. You might say, "Make this paragraph more emotional," or "Rephrase this to be easier to understand," or "Now turn this into a caption, keeping the same tone." The goal is to treat the AI as a collaborator, not just a generator. You keep refining step by step until the output hits the level you want. This is where the real power shows up, when you stop settling for first drafts and start shaping second and third ones with purpose. You can also experiment with creative constraints. Ask the AI to write a product description in just 6 words, or to rewrite a professional message using only metaphors, or to turn a technical explanation into a bedtime story. These might not always be practical for everyday business content, but they stretch the AI's creative muscles, and yours. When you understand the limits, you can bend them. And sometimes, that's where the best ideas come from. Finally, one of the most powerful advanced strategies is using AI to think through a problem with you. Not just generate content, but help you explore ideas. You can prompt it like this: "Help me brainstorm 3 different messaging angles for our rebrand. Explain the pros and cons of each, then recommend which one fits a company trying to position itself as bold and forward-thinking." Now the AI becomes more than a writer, it becomes a strategic partner. That shift changes everything. It gives you new ways to approach decisions, campaigns, and creative work. As we close this book, remember this: prompt writing is not just a skill for writers. It's a tool for thinkers, builders, strategists, creators, and entrepreneurs. The people who know how to write great prompts are the ones who lead in this next chapter of work. They write faster, think clearer, and move with greater creative freedom. Because they're not just using AI, they're collaborating with it. What you've learned in these chapters is more than technique. It's a new way of working. You've seen how to shape the voice of AI, how to match the right format to the right goal, how to guide tone, structure, and flow. And now, with these advanced strategies, you have the tools to go beyond efficient and into exceptional. The next step is simple. Use them. Practice, tweak, experiment. Every time you write a prompt, you get better. Every project becomes smoother. And the more you master this skill, the more doors open for your content, your brand, and your future. This is your creative edge. Use it well. Thank you for watching. Remember, AI is only as powerful as the prompt you give it. Clear instructions lead to clear results. The more intentional you are with your words, the smarter the AI becomes in your hands. Use what you've learned to work faster, write better, and stay ahead.